I truly don't believe that everybody understands just how much influence Palpatine had over the Clone Wars. Yes, everybody knows that he was pretty much the main pawn. He was the one controlling the Separatists and the Republic. So most, if not all, the battles that took place during the Clone Wars were all due to Palpatine. All the times where Jedi had victory, all the times when Separatists had victory, it was due to Palpatine. He was the one that orchestrated his own capture as well. He leaked the hyperspace lanes that led to Coruscant, so the Separatists attacked Coruscant. And even though he knows that the Separatists were not going to win that battle, especially if they tried to invade Coruscant, he knew that it would give him a lot of political influence if he was to be captured and then rescued by Anakin Skywalker. Especially since his plan was always Anakin Skywalker. This way it would get the public's opinion to sway, and everybody would trust Anakin and see him as the best general in the Clone Wars, which was partly true, which is actually extremely true. But even during all this, everybody always seems to question why Yoda and why high-sensitive Force beings such as Qui-Gon Jinn could not sense Palpatine whatsoever. And the answer to this is actually quite simple, but it's actually a little bit more detailed than that. And it ultimately took place years and years before the Clone Wars even began. It's something that even Plagueis had began with Palpatine by his side. And although it may seem very minor, in the long run it had a huge impact on the exact reason why they could not be trusted or not be seen by the Jedi. What they did was meditate onto the dark side of the Force. Now I know it seems very plain and very simple, but it actually had a huge impact. By using astral projection and combining their minds and wills as one, they would project their dark side energy all over the galaxy, and although it wouldn't do it a lot, it would tip the balances of the galaxy enough to favor the dark side of the Force. But that small, absolute minor shift is all they needed to completely blind the Jedi, because as the war went on, it only got stronger and stronger. Even though that Plagueis was taken out by Palpatine, it still got stronger. The Jedi may not have noticed it whatsoever, but at the end of the day, they played directly into the dark side's hands. It also was due to the fact that the Jedi were so disillusioned with politics at the time that they couldn't really necessarily understand what was going on within the Force. The Jedi were fully focused on appeasing to the politics and trying to complete this war, in which they were actually not warlords whatsoever. None of them had combat experience truly. And this is why early on in the Clone Wars, a lot of the Jedi died, especially at the Battle of Geonosis. A ton of Jedi passed away during this point because they had no idea what they were doing. They had no tactics, they had no kind of strategy whatsoever. It was just pretty much charge forward at the enemy, try to dispatch as many as you can. With just that small shift, Palpatine and Plagueis were able to become politicians on Coruscant and actually live there and be right underneath the Jedi noses. They would see Jedi every single day. And they took pleasure in this as well, although they weren't dispatching Jedi themselves. Just being able to walk among them and they didn't necessarily know who they were gave them great joy. And with this, their plans were all but effective. Because just the Clone War itself, the dark side rolls off of emotion and feeling mainly. So just the negative emotion of all the innocents amongst the galaxy from the war itself and all these people dying was fueling the dark side, and it kept constantly making the Jedi even more blinded. And all it took were two Sith beings that were willing to tip the balance and shift it just a little bit. And that's all that really was needed. And although there were a few Jedi that were almost so close to seeing through it, such as Qui-Gon Jinn, Master Yoda, Mace Windu, all these Jedi got very close, but none succeeded. And even Jedi such as Obi-Wan Kenobi were told directly by Count Dooku what was going on, and he refused to believe it. That's how diluted he was. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. May the Force be with you guys, and as always, have a great rest of your day.